Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to another very special edition, a weekend edition of Ruthless Talk. It's Saturday. Your boy's got a fresh new cut. Hold on one second. You see it, you see it. If you're listening on Spotify, you're shut out of luck. You can't see my beautiful face, but it's okay. Frickin' just came out the gym, right? Just lifting a bunch of weights, feeling like I'm the Rock, frickin' clanging and banging in the gym, right? And now it's time to talk some frickin' professional wrestling. So I'm feeling good. Brian, how are you feeling, man? How are you?
Yeah, man. Same. I haven't. It's been more of a lazy Saturday for me, man. But I'm just, March Madness is in full swing, so wrestling and basketball all day.
A lot of juicy stuff, man. A lot of juicy stuff, not just in wrestling, but in the sports world in general, man. Yeah. So it's a wild March Madness is getting started. Baseball season is starting up as well. I completely forgot, by the way, there was the Dodgers and the Padres were playing in South Korea. I remember waking up like early, I believe it was like on Thursday morning, and I was like, there's a baseball game going on right now. And I was like, oh, that's right. They played the whole South Korea, the Seoul series or whatever it's called. So
real quick, just a baseball related, man, fantasy baseball. Fuck it. I really hope this doesn't blow the season, but Ohtani was my first pick, man. Like, and all this shit going down with him, just, oh my God. We need to do a redraft.
Right. Oh man, I'm sure people feel the same way about Yamamoto freaking after that performance just the other day. But now it is time to talk some professional wrestling as we are now another step closer to WrestleMania, the shows of all shows. And of course, you see the banner down below. A week from today, ladies and gentlemen, will be the WrestleMania round table. We will have all of our content creators on our platform, on the show, talking the pay-per-view, talking the match card, talking the build, and all of a bunch of other stuff. So you guys stay tuned for all of it. It's going to be a good time as we are, 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. Man. So a lot's going to happen. We got Monday Night Raw is going to be in Chicago. CM Punk is going to make a big return, and we'll have a lot to discuss about that. So things are starting to heat up as we get closer and closer, but we're going to talk SmackDown from last night. So we had a face-to-face, you had the women, and you also had a really cool, entertaining segment with AJ Styles and LA Knight, and we're going to get to all of that. But before we do such, man, you guys know we have a little bit of a cold open to always start this show off, and I don't know what it is, Brian. Every time that we end a show, there's always something going on after we record some of this shit. Like as soon as we got done talking Monday Night Raw, we got done talking Mercedes Moné and AEW, as well as Christian Cage and Adam Copeland, that I Quit match. All of a sudden, you hear all these rumblings about Ronda Rousey, frickin' Goldberg, and frickin' Asuka, and it's just like, I don't know what, it's just like a weird frickin' trend going on. But
hey, man, we'll see what happens this weekend.
Right, something else is going to happen as soon as we end this show. Crazy shit, right? But let's start off with Goldberg, right? Let's start off with Goldberg, as Goldberg had some choice words in regards to talking about Asuka. Asuka, if you frickin' Goldberg pronounced Asuka, and how talking about just came off as very bitter in regards like, oh, a female broke my undefeated streak. He was on some podcast or some interview. I'm forgetting the name of it, so my apologies there. But talks about her breaking his undefeated streak and everything. He does talk about the overusage of the spear, which I do kind of agree with him to a degree there.
Sure, yeah.
But in regards to Asuka, man, listen, and he'll never watch this, which it's fine by me. But if he ever does come across this, Bill Goldberg, yes, that too. Bill Goldberg, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm looking dead into this camera like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. You come across as just a very insecure, bitter person, acting like you don't even know who Asuka even is. Like, oh, some Japanese girl. Like, dude, you know who the fuck this woman is, bro. Yeah. Who the fuck are you fooling? And this is the same guy that congratulated Asuka during that time when she did surpass his undefeated streak or whatever. So it's just like, just shut the fuck up, dude. Like, enough, man. Like, listen, look, I have a lot of respect for the legends of this industry, right? The legends of yesterday, or the wrestlers of yesterday. It's just like dude, like Bill Goldberg, like Asuka can probably do everything times 10 of what the fuck you can do even in the prime of your career. And I'm not just talking about wrestling. I'm talking like everything that this freaking woman brings to the character, right? Character, promo, freaking selling, and all that freaking stuff, man. So Bill Goldberg, do us all a favor. Shut the fuck up, you insecure bald piece of shit, please. Enough. So that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna keep that as short, as sweet as possible. Brian, your thoughts, man, on Bill Goldberg?
Look, as you know, I gotta touch on this, man, because this is just something. It's personal, like to me and in my general life. Like Bill Goldberg is the epitome of, like, you know, you want to generalize things and whatever. To some degree, we all do, because to some degree, those generalizations a lot of times pan out to be true. Bill Goldberg comes from a generation, look, his misogyny and yes, his racism is rampant. Like, and even something down to as small as, like, look, this is a Japanese female wrestler, a legend. You know her fucking name. Pronounce it right, dude. Like, stop being this typical drunk, you know, fucking American. I can't even pronounce his name. Then fucking educate yourself, dude. Like, stop. Full fucking stop, man. Like, so yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, dude, Asuka's a legend. She would wrestle circles around your dumbass. And the fact that, like, legitimately, like, he's made millions of dollars, and kudos to him, off a spear and who's next. It's the same thing as a fucking Hogan leg drop and say your prayers and eat your vitamins. Kudos to you guys. You capitalized on it, and you were successful. But that, and especially for Goldberg, that is all the fuck you've done in this business. Like, to me, and even he's come back from, you know, or he was introduced in that Attitude Era, he is not a legend by any stretch of the imagination to me. I know he is in many eyes, but to me, oh, hell no. Like, even back then, I didn't understand. Like, yeah, he has the look and you can build him that way, but the fact that just right out of the bat, like 173-0, and you built no story at all with this dude other than the fucking move, the jackhammer and the spear. I'm sorry, 2 moves, Goldberg. Blow me.
I love amplified Brian Thomas. I love this. I'm entertained. I don't know if anyone else is entertained listening to this. I'm freaking entertained.
Oh man, it's just that stuff really rubs me the wrong way, especially like if you say you love this industry and this industry has provided you those millions, man, put some respect on her name, man. Come on, dude.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you just said, man. Trust me, I definitely have choice words about Goldberg after, you know, of course, the whole Bray Wyatt matchup at frickin', I think it was Super Showdown at frickin' Saudi Arabia. It's just like, yeah,
because you think you're the fucking star because you said, who's next?
Right.
Fuck you.
Brian, you're saying everything I've already. There's nothing else I need to say because you've already said it.
No, I love it. It touches a nerve. It really does, man.
No, I hear you. I hear you, brothers. No, seriously, it's just like the guy just needs to. It's like The Rock would always say, "Know your role and just shut your freaking mouth." Right?
Yeah.
And it's just, and his comments they just don't make sense. It just comes off bitter and insecure. And yeah, it's just very odd in regard. And again, it's very hypocritical as well. Because like I said, like you congratulated this woman when she did defeat your undefeated streak. And now here you are trying to pretend or act like you don't know who this woman is and trying to and mispronounce her name. It's just like,
and what was that? A decade ago, 8 years? I mean, I don't know.
Probably like eight years ago or something like that. So it's just like, dude, like shut your fucking mouth, man. There's it's not just Asuka, but there's like hundreds upon hundreds of wrestlers that will run circles around your fucking ass. So it's just like, dude, know your role, shut your mouth, and fricking just know your fricking role and just know your place, dude.
Live your life, man. I'm sure you're financially secure and you can
just
go make celebrity appearances, whatever, go do that.
Because the more you talk, the more you sound, and the more you come across like the biggest freaking just arrogant asshole and the biggest freaking piece of shit. So enough, man. Just enough. So there you go. There's Goldberg. That's everything we need to talk about Goldberg there. But much love to Asuka. I know she ended up getting injured, I believe, last week. She's dealing with an injury. So there's talks whether she's going to make it to WrestleMania and defend the tag titles. I don't even know if the women's tag titles are even on the WrestleMania card as of right now. Knowing frickin' this company, they'll just place them in the place them in a pre-show or something. But I don't know. It's 2 nights, so they could be on the card somewhere. So, but who knows? But much love to Asuka. And Bill Goldberg, shut the fuck up, if you will, please.
Yep.
Let's move on. Let's move on to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey also had some choice words. Now, for Ronda, outside of Goldberg, instead of kind of being a one-sided conversation, this has kind of been a mixed bag, at least how I was able to approach this. And just listening to what she said, she wrote this book. I believe it's called Our Fight or something. Mm-hmm. And she pretty much just goes off on WWE, Vince McMahon, how he's booked the women's division over the past decade, just women's wrestling in general,
forever, really.
Forever, for like the entire probably Ruthless Aggression era and to some degree of that. And listen, a lot of it is justified of what Ronda Rousey is saying, right? Because Vince McMahon has done all of these things when it comes to women's wrestling, so a lot of it is justified. But when it does come to Ronda Rousey. And Ronda Rousey's had her moments. A lot of people bash her to a certain degree. And I get it. Trust me. She doesn't really help herself very much at all when it comes to this situation. And I'll get to your takes, Brian, just a second. I spoke about this too on a TikTok. I'm sure people have seen it by now. But yeah, with Ronda Rousey, as much as it is justified of what she's saying, because it is, all of this stuff that she mentioned in this book and what she's mentioned, what we came across on social media, is valid. It's very valid and it's justified. But with Ronda Rousey, it doesn't help her in the case of what she's been able to bring to the table or try to, hold her end of the bargain with this whole professional wrestling thing. Because it does come across of like, oh, well, you still took the money and, so you're the hypocritical one and you still went into business for yourself. And well, which is just, I just don't get that freaking argument. But anyway, and listen, the thing is with MMA fighters in general, because there's a lot of people, Brian, and when it comes to Ronda, and I mentioned this before, it's just like we all hoped that Ronda would kind of be in the same commodity as Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar came onto the scene as, coming from, even before going to UFC or even coming back from UFC, and he did all these accolades, defeating The Undertaker, having matches with John Cena, freaking Triple H, and everything down the line. And we had the same hope for Ronda Rousey when she got to this women's division. But the truth is, Ronda Rousey just couldn't evolve or adjust to this wrestling industry. She just couldn't. She was never happy since day one, because this isn't the first time Ronda Rousey has said harsh things with WWE and professional wrestling. So all of this is really not a shock to anybody. But, it either goes 2 ways when it comes to people outside of just a wrestling background and just the professional wrestling industry. Either this comes second nature and you can evolve, adapt really, really, really quickly. People like Logan Paul, who has done tremendously well since he's been a part of professional wrestling in WWE. And then there's people who are just going to struggle, and it shows a lot, but not just the wrestling, but the selling, sometimes the mic skills. And Ronda Rousey's been, again, she's had her moments.
She's average. She's not horrible and she's not great. She's in the middle. Yeah, she's
in the middle at times. On her best day, she's in the middle. If that makes sense.
Yep.
But for the most part, man, it's if you just don't understand and can evolve and adapt in this industry, you're going to struggle, and it's going to be very, very noticeable. And majority of the time, it's been very noticeable to a lot of wrestling fans, which is why fans have just turned her back on her. And now they come across these comments. It's just like, okay, you're just trying to get a rise out of people. You're just trying to sell your book. You're just trying to make money just to sell your book, bringing up WWE's name. And some of this is fair. Some of it's just like, whatever, just take it or leave it. But that's just how I feel at the end of the day in regards to it. It's just an unfortunate situation just with everything. But it's justified for Ronda. But at the same time, it's just like, you say all these things because it didn't really come easy to you, and now because it's not easy, because she also says, oh, it's fake, it's this, and it's blurring the lines. Those comments, it's just like, okay, Ronda, like, you got to cut the shit, like, stop, like, because it's the same thing of why I kind of lost respect for people like CM Punk. CM Punk did the same thing when he left WWE. He's like, oh, I'm never coming back to WWE. Wrestling is fake. It's a bunch of fake crap and all this and that. It's like, that's where I just lose respect for you, right? Listen, I get it. You're a legend in the mixed martial arts industry, in UFC and everything else. And kudos to her. She's great in that regard. But just because that something just didn't click for you, or something that just didn't come across as second nature to most people, to just bash professional wrestling, oh, it's just a fake fight. It's so fake. It's fake garbage and all that stuff. That's where I just lose respect for you. And I'm just like, okay, cut the shit. But outside of that, again, she is right to where, yeah, Vince McMahon, she treated a lot of women for 10 plus years, has treated women in the business very, very poorly, not just freaking their booking, but everything else. And of course, recently what's going on with these accusations with Vince, you guys know and can paint the picture, but so that's pretty much it. So Ronda, with the whole fake wrestling, it's fake and blurring the lines, that I can't get behind, but all this other stuff, trying to defend women's wrestling and defend those women, and acknowledging, no pun intended to Roman, just that I can understand and see where she's coming from. So it's a mixed bag overall. But Brian, your thoughts about Ronda Rousey and this whole situation and what she had to say about Vince McMahon and just WWE as a whole?
I'll state, like, I'll always be a fan of Rousey, and I wish that her WWE stint went differently, In all honesty, man, I think if timing had aligned right, and she was back in her prime 5, 6, 7 years ago, and she was entering the business now with like TKO and The Rock, I think you'd have a much different outcome with Ronda,
right,
but things are what they are. To her comments, especially about the women, and I'll go back even more than 10 years. Like, look, again, it's one of those things where, like, let's be real and let's be frank. And look, McMahon is, and for 30, 40 years has been a rich, powerful man that not many people say no to. So, the idea of, yes, women have been mistreated for decades, and it's the wrestling industry. Yes, for like literally since wrestling started, 100%. So no issues with any of that. And I understand where people are coming from, where, like, she has said words about the business. I think it would have served her well if she was presented more of like a Brock Lesnar, more of like a shoot fighter style. I mean, I know that was her gig, but like she never. They didn't get behind her nearly as much as a Brock Lesnar, and maybe that's part on her, with the promos and the selling and the whatever.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate, but this is what frustrates me about, like, situations like this, because what she's saying about the women in the industry and how the industry has treated them or her or McMahon in particular, that stuff far, far outweighs any, like, to me, wrestling's fake, I hated my time here and bad, so it's like, okay, maybe she shouldn't have said that, or why did you say that, Ronda, or whatever. But what she's saying about the women is far, far more important. So and I don't really care. So that's kind of how I see it all, and it just she's right, she's correct in everything she's saying. And as far as like the money grab, yes, she wrote a book. Of course, she's trying to sell it and make money off the book. I don't know if many, because I've also seen, like, all this stuff has come out with McMahon, and now she drops the book. Dude, it's not like she just started writing the book like a month and a half ago. Like, this thing takes time, and again, timing is everything, right? Maybe if Ronda was in the WWE now, we'd have a whole different perception of her. But to think that, like, I don't know, she got this publisher and wrote this book and everything and all, and now it's out in a month and a half. Like, that's not how it works, people. Like, fuck. So yeah, man.
Yeah, it's just, again, I like I said earlier, I respect everything she said in regards to defending the women in that locker room, as well as not just in the locker room today, but just over the last 10 years of women's wrestling. But I just wish that she just didn't have to also, you know, throw professional wrestling itself underneath the rug or underneath the.
But
underneath
at
the
her
bus.
heart, she's also a legit MMA. Like, I don't think she ever. I don't know. I mean, you know, you hear stories, and of course, a lot of people grew up watching wrestling and we liked it. But if I would say, you know, her career path was definitely more like real fighting than wrestling.
To be fair to her, when it comes to even her booking too, it's just like, when it comes to booking Ronda Rousey, like, and I've said it too, like, it should be very, very simplistic in how you book her. Like, just play to her strengths and make her like, and they just put her, because WWE did not help her at all to a certain degree. They just put her in these weird situations, these weird tags, these weird feuds, and it just never clicked with the fan base. It just never did. So yeah, Ronda Rousey didn't help her case as much either, but let's also not act like WWE fumbled the ball with Ronda Rousey, because I'm sure people like me and you, Brian, could go out there when it comes to somebody like Ronda Rousey and could book her properly to attract a wrestling fan base that doesn't really know.
The same thing with Shayna Baszler to some degree. Dude, you know, Baszler isn't, you know, never reached the, of course, I mean, at Ronda's height, I mean, and this is why I especially having a daughter, because what she did back at that time, just for women, and I mean, that was fucking huge, man. It really was.
Right. And to kind of just like take that momentum and bring it to a screeching halt in WWE, it's just, like, she just felt like she was just there at one point. It's just like, oh, that's right, Ronda Rousey's on this fucking roster.
Oh, right? Yeah,
it's just so freaking weird. And don't even get me started with Shayna Baszler. Like, that woman, since freaking she got to the main roster, I don't know what the fuck they're doing with her. She's in this weird tag with Zoe Starks. That's a different discussion. But so I get where Ronda's coming from. I even get where some other people are coming from. To where, oh, well, she just sucked at her job or whatever. Again, I don't know if I want to say she completely sucked, because again, she had her moments, and I think average to slightly above, I'd say, would be best fit for her on a good day. But it's the company's job to where, okay, we know where you're not best suited at. Let's play to your strengths and hide your weaknesses, right? It's just that freaking simple. Like, it's Ronda Rousey. Like, when you hear Ronda Rousey, people are going to, especially just casuals, because they know who the fuck they are, or they know who she is. Like, people are going to watch and they're like, oh, snap, like, she looks really good. They're making her look freaking big. I want to see what she's involved in with maybe like a Charlotte Flair, a Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. I mean, we know how the shit with Liv Morgan turned out too. And that also, you know, and Liv Morgan was putting on the best work of her career. Fans freaking turn on her because of that whole spiel too. So it's all unfortunate. And I just don't, it's just the whole like WWE, oh, it's fake crap. It's all this stuff like that. Like, I wish she just didn't have to like add into the picture. It just comes across very insecure, if that makes sense.
Let me close with this too, especially with like the hypocritical, like, people, you know, like, oh, you took the money, didn't you?
Right. Yeah.
Man, listen, y'all, you live in America. Like, do you know, work for a Walmart, a bank, a law firm? Right. You know, guess what? They're doing illegal shit. You know, you're taking the fucking money too, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I never understood that statement. That's what I said earlier. I'm just like, all right, come on, people, seriously. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So doesn't seem like you're going to see Ronda in WWE for quite some time, if not ever. I mean, who knows?
She's in, with TNA or not TNA?
ROH. She did an
ROH.
appearance in ROH, so maybe she might make some like appearances in the Indies or something like that, or whatever. But when it comes to going back to WWE, you probably won't see her back there anytime soon, if not ever. So And that's it, man. So again, mixed bag when it comes to all this. I get where people are coming from. I get where Ronda's coming from, especially when it comes to Vince and the women's division and everything. So yeah, just a lot of crazy animosity over the past couple days and everything. So, and of course, if anything comes up, we will keep you guys posted on all of it. So let's get into SmackDown. Let's get into the actual show itself. So with SmackDown, of course, we won't go over this entire show. But our first topic that we do want to discuss, and we got a lots to talk about in this show, some good and some just leave us completely freaking baffled and just exactly. But let's start off with the ladies, right? The ladies who were a big focal point in this show. And it all started backstage with Bayley and Naomi. But by the way, freaking Naomi just looks fantastic. I mean, she just looks freaking Jimmy Uso, freaking I can't play her hate, bro. Like freaking kudos to you. And Bayley too. Bayley looks, all these freaking women look freaking beautiful. I mean, goddamn. Anyway, but so Bayley and Naomi, they're backstage, and Bayley wants, thanking again for Naomi for the assist or trying to help her out. Being buddy or whatever. And then Bianca Belair comes in and she's like, listen, you're getting everything what's coming to you because of what you did to me over the past 2 to 3 years. So, your actions have consequences. And Bayley's like, listen, you don't think I know all these things? Like, I'm trying to right my wrongs. I'm trying to do all this stuff. And, they just get into a screaming match. Freaking Naomi's kind of like in the middle of it. And she backs Bianca away from Bayley. And that was pretty much that part of the segment. Then we go later on into the show, and you had both Bianca and Naomi talking to each other backstage. And she's like, Bianca's like, listen, you don't understand. Like, I've been dealing with this woman in Damage Control for 2 years. And Naomi's like, listen, I get it. Like, everything you're saying, it's valid. I get it. But I got to do what I have to do because they're just going to pick us off one by one because I can't do this alone. And clearly you can't do this alone either. And she walks off. So good stuff, man. Really good stuff between those two. And I'm going to get into some other stuff in just a second. But outside of that, man, just really good stuff between Bianca and Naomi. It does seem like at some point you could see Bianca turn on Naomi. They could maybe be in a tag team in the future, go after tag titles. I can see that as well. But love this added layer, this part of the story that's added in with both Bayley and Damage Control. So really good stuff overall, man. Really, really good stuff. And it just leaves you with good questions like we always just ask for. And then we get into this one-on-one match. So we have Iyo Sky, your champion, versus Naomi. So Damage Control comes out, and your champion, Iyo, doesn't come out because she's too busy whooping on frickin' Bayley backstage, as she just frickin' whooped on Bayley, attacked her. And frickin' Naomi's like, well, shit, I guess I got no Calgary coming, so I got to do this all by myself. So they have the matchup, and Damage Control comes out. They create a distraction. Iyo Sky takes advantage, hits the moonsault, and defeats Naomi. After the match, there's a post-match brawl or a post-match beatdown onto Naomi. Bianca Belair tries to come out to no avail. Of course, the numbers game catches up to her. And Damage Control stands freaking tall. Freaking love it, man. Freaking love it. Continue to have Damage Control freaking go out there and be a dominant freaking faction and say, see, we don't need Bayley. She was holding us down. Now we're stronger than ever. It's as simple as that. Here's the one blunder I have about this, Brian, and I don't know how you feel about it. I don't like that Naomi took another fucking loss. I don't like that at all. I understand like the distraction. Oh, well, James, she got distracted, so it makes sense, and it doesn't do that much damage to Naomi. But guys, it does. She just fucking got back to this fucking company. You could have just done a simplistic DQ finish, and nobody would have lost freaking anything. I don't understand why Naomi is, and I get it, she's involved in the shtick. I get it, but why have her lose? It doesn't make sense for a woman that just came back to this fucking company and she's already doing nothing but lose. It's so fucking weird, man. But outside of that, no issues whatsoever. I was literally saying to myself when Bianca came out and the numbers game was catching up to her, I was like, for the love of God, do not send Bayley out. Just do the beatdown and just freaking just run with it. Just like that's it. Just cut it off. Right. And they did that. And I was like, thank God. I was like clapped. I was like freaking beautiful. So Brian, your thoughts, man, in regards to all these ladies with Bianca, Naomi, Damage Control, Bailey, and this entire, just this entire segment with all the ladies involved.
Man, I loved it, man. And dude, like, how many times, James, have you said, like, do these backstage segments or whatever throughout the show and tell that story throughout the show, man?
Yep.
That was fucking awesome. That
Absolutely.
was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, I loved all parts of it. Obviously now you see that it's going to be Bailey, Bianca, and Naomi, as we speculated, and that's kind of for a few weeks. You've kind of seen that coming. So yeah, man, I love the way it ended with Bailey not coming back out there and just leaving Naomi and Belair, to take the beat down. I will ask you this, man. What do you think? Because it's still 4-on-3 right now. This particular woman that's going to come back next Thursday. Do you think she joins Friday? Do you think she joins and evens the odds?
Yes, and I believe the woman you're talking about is Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
And yes, I truly believe so. Yes, because they teased it already. They teased a face-to-face a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That just seems, and then they're going to continue to portray Jade as the face. That seems like what they're doing. And yeah, I believe that that's what's going to happen. It's going to be Bailey. It's going to be Naomi. It's going to be Bianca. And then you're going to add Jade against the rest of Damage Control. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So that's my answer. Yes. So, but yeah, continue.
Man. So definitely looking forward to that. I do agree with Naomi, just taking the L's. It's like,
it's fucking weird.
I get, she's getting put in this storyline that is a great storyline right now. And you can see, and there's still, after we're getting this to Mania, and then we'll see after Mania, I get it. But man, like, look, we all talk about Mercedes and, and what she did and who she is as a wrestler. Maybe Naomi isn't that level of superstardom, but she took a bet on herself as well. And she knocked it out of the fucking park, man.
Yes.
So, her coming back here, like, come on, WWE, like, just please do something with her. Please, man. And yeah, to that, and then this is my only possible, like, because I do think Jade's coming back. Then you got these two teams that just seem, in some way, it can work. I see one way it really, really works, and I see one way it's really, really bad. Because on one side, you got 3 small Asian women and Dakota, right? All very, which could very well work. Right. You got powerhouses over on the other side. You're talking about Belair, Jade, and even Naomi.
Oh, for
Bailey,
sure.
some, mid to some degree, but you got to do that right. If you're going to have kind of like a monster team against a much smaller team, you got to do that right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they will. I think they will, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point they deserve somewhat of the benefit of the doubt, at least of how things have been portrayed so far. I don't fully trust it because, again, I can't trust. I can't really fully trust Triple H.
The Jade and Nia thing that I think is coming too at some point.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know.
So who knows, man? Who freaking knows? But at least for this week, this was done
good.
very, very well.
Very
Again, Damage Control continues to look dominant.
Yep.
And yeah, listen, it's great that Naomi's involved in this. It's great. Like, she's involved. So people are going to come across this and they'll be like, "Oh, James, like, just shut up. Just like stop. She's involved in this storyline. Like, who cares?" But guys, like, it does matter. Like, she's still a superstar on your roster that just came back. It wasn't needed. It was unnecessary for you to have her take a simplistic L. And I get it. That doesn't mean, should have Iyo Sky have freaking won or should have lost the match? No, you dipshit. Of course
Count
not.
Out. Yeah.
Count out, freaking disqualification.
Yeah.
No, but I'm telling you, if you would have gone that route, nobody would have lost anything. Right? That's how you portray. And again, you don't have to do that and ram it into the dirt, like just DQ finish after DQ finish. But there's certain matches to where neither one of these ladies can lose. And that was the situation. So I was fine with everything else. It was just the loss that just was just left a bad taste. As I'm sure in your mouth, in everybody's mouths.
Yeah, right.
It was just not needed, man. This woman just came back, right? It doesn't make sense. But I'm glad that at least that she's involved in this, and she could be involved in a future feud with Bianca, because who freaking knows? Bianca seems like there's it's maybe not as clear cut, but you can maybe see down the road that she could turn on Naomi. They could probably team up and tag up. They can create this bond and friendship, and then Bianca freaking, when the timing's right, freaking does the turn. I've stated before about a Bianca heel turn freaking many times now. I sound like a broken record about it. I just think the character as a heel, and she's done well as a babyface. I mean, it's evident she's one of the top female stars in this industry of what she's done. But now it's just like, okay, it's starting to run its course because of the fact that, well, one, she's been in this title picture for so fucking long now. And it's just like, all right, she plays like almost like this Wonder Woman type of character, which works to a degree, but now it's just like, because now you hear from certain, it's time for that certain change. And this with Naomi away from the title is that change. And hopefully over time, maybe after we get past WrestleMania, we get further along 2024, we get back to that freaking that EST character that was so damn good in NXT. Freaking right, that heel badass EST character, which that fits the persona of Bianca, right? Because again, you can only do so much of just like, smiling and waving your braid, hugging families and kissing babies. You can only do that for so long, right? Look at freaking people like John Cena. Now, John Cena didn't want to freaking do it. He was just...
It's funny you said John Cena, man.
Right?
Because I was going to say, ask any wrestler up and down the list, man, would they rather be a heel or a face? And 99.9 of them will tell you a heel, because you can do more shit.
Yeah.
With the one exception being John Cena, I guess.
So like John Cena, like even like, again, Hulk Hogan, again, Roman Reigns is also a great example. Like this company for years try to portray Roman as this top baby face. He got that 50-50 reaction. And it took Joe Anoa'i, Roman Reigns himself, to walk into with WWE execs and Vince McMahon and say, like, this ain't working. Like, we got to change something. And now you have Roman Reigns of what he is tribal today chief. As your tribal chief. So yeah, it's just, I really hope that that's the case for Bianca, because she's so damn talented. And she's so damn good to be portrayed now as like overrated, or just like, maybe not an afterthought, but just like, people just being sick and tired of her because she's like, oh, okay, here we go, Bianca in this title.
Like she ain't near that Charlotte Flair bubble yet, man. Like,
not even fucking close.
No, but I'm saying, God. Like with the internet people, like, oh, she's always in the championship picture up top, like, because she's still whatever. We've talked ad nauseum about that.
I would listen. I if I really wanted to, I can turn this into a Charlotte Flair conversation, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go that overboard. That's a different discussion for a different.
But yeah, she's a star, overrated. Kiss my ass, man.
Yeah,
no fucking way.
Yeah, much love to Bianca. Much love to Montez. I actually they have a new show on Hulu.
Yeah,
it's called.
I haven't checked it out yet.
I forget what it's called. It's like Beyond. It's
Love
like,
of Wrestling or Love and Wrestling.
Love and Wrestling, I think. Yeah, something like that along those lines. I think I've seen like five episodes along. It's decent. I mean, listen, if you like somewhat of reality television, but it's good. I mean, listen, I have so much love and respect for Bianca and for Montez. So they're doing their thing with that show. So much love to both of them, as well as
still waiting on Montez's single run, man, because that dude's a star too.
Right, man. I don't even freaking know like what they're doing to, like, the Street Profits and Lashley.
It's just actually, while we're talking about that, shout out to D'Angelo Hawkins, man. What was his mother passed away?
Yes.
5 days, week ago or so. Condolences, man.
Much love to Angelo Dawkins for sure. Losing a family member definitely sucks, and I'm sure both of us and a lot of people in the wrestling industry will send nothing but thoughts and prayers to Angelo Dawkins going through this tough time, as well as to the rest of his family. But yeah, much love to Angelo Dawkins for sure. But
sorry to get off topic there, but
no, I love it, man. No, I love it. I said this. I put up a post on our Instagram stories. Again, you see the banner down below. Ruthless Talk _talk. Follow us on Instagram. And, and gave some nice words over to Angelo Dawkins and his family. But yeah, much love to him. But yeah, just to recap all that, man, just the ladies, good stuff.
Yep.
I just hope the ball keeps rolling. Keep doing these little things with Bianca and Naomi, and us, and hopefully Bayley and Iyo Sky. Hopefully they got something juicy planned, but especially just between those two, because now we have those little details planted with Bianca and Naomi. Now it's time to go back to the other side of the story, which is between both Bayley and Iyo, because I don't want this to just solely be about both Bianca and Naomi. There's got to also be the other side, which is between, again, the match that's going to be at WrestleMania, which is Bayley and Iyo. But what they're doing, everything is tremendous. Again, I don't want to nitpick because I might drive people crazy with it. But overall, man, really good stuff from everybody. So now let's get to our next topic, which involves AJ Styles and LA Knight. And they put on such a beautiful, and I mean beautiful freaking segment, to where it wasn't in the ring, it wasn't backstage, it wasn't even in the same city that SmackDown was held in. It was at AJ Styles' house. AJ Styles is cutting a freaking interview, whatever, for WrestleMania. The honks, freaking, there's a car horn honking outside, and it's freaking LA Knight, right? He's like freaking on site. Yeah. Yeah. And they freaking brawl in front of AJ Styles' front lawn. You had police show up to the house, and I loved how this was done. Like, from the visuals that we saw it from the police chest,
the police cam or what,
the police camera, from the body camera. You saw it from like the police camera from the car itself, like made it an actual realistic setting. Like, is this so fucking hard to do? Like, Brian, because I'm just like, I love this, but at the same time, I'm baffled, because this proves that this company knows how to put on great shit. They know it, and they refuse to think outside the box and do as simple as a home invasion segment. You get away from the ring. You actually get creative. You put thought and care and effort to it, because this, people, is what we love about professional wrestling. When we think about, people like Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, we think about freaking Stone Cold beating the shit out of Vince McMahon in a hospital bed, right? We think about Stone Cold and Booker T. We think about the supermarket brawl, right? We think about Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and their freaking brawls backstage. That's what your subconscious thinks towards, is little shit like this. This is what I like. This is all I fucking ask for. This is what we freaking ask for. And it baffles my mind that they know how to put on a good segment. They know that it needs to have time, care, and effort to it, because it does take time. You do need resources. You got to reach out to like the people like the police department, right? Have your resources involved in everything. It's going to take time. But it's all going to be fucking worth it, because it's going to be quality fucking television. It's good shit, pal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Freaking, it was just great, man. Freaking, they brawled. Freaking LA Knight got handcuffed. Talk about it's on site. Yeah. Freaking AJ Styles is like freaking, it's like freaking, I want to press charges. Freaking, his wife, I think, was involved too, like backing him away back to the house or whatever.
I remember hearing her voice. I can't remember seeing her, but I remember like hearing, it
was just a cool freaking but yeah, she was involved. I do remember hearing her in the segment and maybe seeing her for like a second or two. But freaking LA Knight's on the car talking to the police officer, like, I hope you guys work overtime because I'll be back here next week. Yeah. I freaking love it. And just like the screaming matches, and just like, it's like you're watching an episode of Cops or something, or like live PD. It's so good. Like, is that so hard to do, man? Like, because again, and this is what I meant, Brian, about like, can we do more? Like, could we be doing better? Right? Like, I get it. Promos, the matches, all of that plays a part, but it's not what we drew to professional wrestling about. It's just not. It's little things like that, because most of it, right? Most of it, I want to say, when it comes to Monday Night Raw, when it comes to SmackDown, right? You got match, promo, backstage promo, match. It's just so fucking redundant, man. Like, get creative. Freaking do a home house invasion. Go to the streets of whatever town you're in. Freaking bring out monster trucks and shit. I don't give a fuck. Get creative. It's just, I love it, but it also drives me up a wall because this company knows how to get creative, and they've shown you that they have the resources and they know what they can do. But 95% of the time, they don't want to put the effort into it. They don't fucking want to. And when they feel like it, they'll freaking do it. But that's what you should be doing all the fucking time. And I just loved it. It was just so refreshing and great. And that, honestly, that whole story between AJ and LA Knight, that was much needed in regards to it. And I mean, we're intrigued by this match regardless, right? But, the promos and stuff, the vignettes were fine, but it still was missing something, right? We're 2 some odd weeks left. We really gotta add a big layer into this. And that was the perfect layer. So I've done enough talking, Brian. Your thoughts about this home invasion, man, between Styles and LA Knight?
Yeah, I loved it too, man. Entertaining as shit. And yeah, look, I know the internet trolls will be back out because there's a specific segment with Stone Cold and Vince. I can't remember it exactly, but and it was actually in the arena where Stone Cold gets let out in handcuffs and he's back in the cop car, and he's like, "It's not over, Vince. Not yet by a long shot." And he's cussing, and it was very, very similar, right? But it's fucking entertaining as shit, man. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, just in this show overall, you had this segment, which neither of these two guys were even at the arena, and you have those multiple backstage segments with Damage Control and Bailey, and telling the stories, man. And so yeah, I loved it. I thought that was great. Yeah, I mean, that's what I got to say about it, and it was just. You're right. Refreshing, at least for this Friday. In these 2 particular stories, the way they told them, loved it, man. Loved it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. I mean, who can't love a good home invasion segment, right? You go back to freaking, again, the first thing that pops to my mind is Triple H and Randy Orton, when they did that whole home invasion segment in their feud heading into, I believe it was WrestleMania 25. Yeah, WrestleMania 25. Even people like Brian Pillman and freaking Stone Cold back in the day.
I was going to say that was awesome. And even, man, I can tell you, living through that, or, being at live in that time, because this was even really before the Attitude Era got kicked. This, I would say, maybe 96-ish or something.
Yeah, I was going to say somewhere around there. Yeah.
But man, when I tell you, and looking at hindsight being 2020, but at the time, I mean, there was a legit part of you that, as a wrestling fan, that was a real fucking gunshot. We knew it was a gunshot, right? That was a real gunshot. And again, you were still coming out of that kayfabe thing, but you knew obviously they didn't shoot each other, but it was that man, because it was Pillman really that, if you could have come back in that time, 96, before camera phones and whatever, and what he was doing back then, that was brilliant. That was brilliant, man.
Absolutely.
But yeah, sorry to get off track.
No, I freaking love it, man.
That home invasion is my big, kind of the most memorable one to me. But yeah, you do shit like that, it's gonna stick in your head.
Absolutely, right. I mean, John Cena and Edge is also another one too that I freaking remember too, man. It's just it just comes across especially when you do it right, and when there's real animosity involved, you believe it, and that's what gets you intrigued from the jump by it, and that's what I like about it. It's okay, now I have a reason to watch these dudes fight in a match. What a crazy concept is that? So really good stuff, man. Really good stuff from both of those guys. Again, a layer that was desperately needed. And again, we're all going to be intrigued by the matchup, but it's just that you had the attack at Elimination Chamber, which was good. That kick-started it. And then you had LA Knight. I said this a couple weeks ago, just destroying a television. I'm just okay, what did the TV really do to you, bro? Come on, what are we doing? Yeah. The vignette with AJ was fine. Even what LA Knight said on SmackDown Lowdown, like I would have preferred that on the show than him just beating up a fucking TV.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, this is okay. This is decent, but like we can be doing a lot more. And boy, did they freaking do a lot more this week. So just tremendous stuff, man. Tremendous freaking stuff from LA Knight, AJ Styles, and just everybody involved that did this segment and just made this segment work. And just, because again, it takes time. It takes time and effort to do that. And it's not easy to do, but when you have the patience, the time, the care, and the effort and the passion, you can create something so special.
Yep.
And that's just that missing element that you just don't see a whole lot in wrestling anymore. We just want to do a bunch of face-to-faces, which are good. It can be good to a degree. You know, these matches and all these athletes and these gymnastic type of athletes who we have respect for, but pro wrestling is so much more than that, man. Like that is what I grew up loving about pro wrestling, you know, freaking interactions. Like I said, about John Cena and Edge, Triple H and Randy Orton, right? Like the mind games that Undertaker would play with people like freaking Randy Orton and people like Mark Henry. And like, I can go down the line, man, in regards to it. So it's just really, really good stuff. I can't praise. I can go on for hours of how good this shit was. Yeah. It was just so refreshing. So much love to AJ Styles, LA Knight in this segment overall. All right, let's now dive into our final topic of the show, which was the face-to-face segment with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. So a lot of hype and a lot of build was built towards this face-to-face interaction. I'm thinking, okay. And it was at least refreshing to a degree because for the most part, they kept trying to sell this tag and not enough with this actual main event, which was for night 2 between Cody and Roman. I'm like, okay, let's see what they got, because this was going to really define the show overall.
The championship match. Like, yes, this is the biggest match of the card, or of WrestleMania.
WrestleMania in general, right? So this for SmackDown as well, like this was going to really see how this show was overall. It's this defining moment, which you're trying to sell to us this match for night 2, right? So Roman comes out, he says a few words. Cody shows up on the Tron. He's still fucking smiling and shit. It's just like, my God. And I know that may sound like it's nitpicking, but still. But he comes out after commercial break. They're face to face. You also got Paul Heyman in the ring. And, you know, Roman talks about, he pretty much just calls Cody an idiot a lot. And which is funny to a degree, but that's pretty much all it was. He's just like, listen, you're not fit to be the face of this company. You're not fit to take this title from me, because it's just like, oh, it's like, you came alone. It's like, yeah, of course I came alone. It's like, well, it's like, you're a fool. It's like, this is why you can't be the company, because you're a fool. You're an idiot. And they go on to talk about The Rock and Seth. And I'm just like, why? Like, I don't care right now about Seth and The Rock. I want to focus on you two. You two alone. Like, leave Seth and The Rock out of it. They talked about the Shield. Seth talked about, it's like, oh yeah, you guys were this dominant trio. By the way, who was the team to first beat you? That was us, right? However, that's really not Cody. Here's the thing, though.
I guess it's not. Yeah,
it's really not true, because the team that defeated him first was Daniel Bryan, Kane, and Randy Orton. So it's really not true. And I get it was the tag match that they defeated Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at the time, but that wasn't the first time they fucking lost. They lost as a trio, right? So I guess maybe it was just like the way it was worded. Maybe it just got people confused, but that's technically not true. But anyway. So they brought up the whole Shield days. It's just like, can you really trust Seth Rollins? Because if you trust Seth Rollins, you're a freaking fool. You're an idiot, because I trusted him with my life and he stabbed me in the back. And, you know, they continue to bring up the Shield, you know, bringing up just a very interesting back and forth, man. Just everything that's not involving between those two individually and everything else. They're trying to sell more of this tag than this main event match at night 2, if that makes sense to everybody. So they're about to handshake, and I think Roman Reigns just kind of walks off up the rampway. He then and then he stops at the middle of the rampway. He like snaps his fingers like he's Thanos or something. And Solo and Jimmy start to come through the crowd and like, oh, it's a setup. And I'm like, wow, like this isn't like, bro, a fucking kid with a freaking crayon and a fucking postie pad could have booked this shit or saw this shit coming, man. Oh, wow. The freaking, like, come on, dude. It's just, anyway, I'll save it. So Solo and Jimmy come out. Shocker. Like we knew like it was a setup all along, right? You come alone, I come alone, that type of thing. And then Cody Rhodes was like another step ahead. So once they were walking beside Roman, who was up on the rampway, you had Jey Uso and then you had Seth Rollins. They come to the Calgary with Cody Rhodes. They have this weird stare down from like legit the ring apron to the rampway. They just stare at each other menacingly, and that's your show. Yeah. Are you guys hooked for this main event? Wow. Holy shit. Freaking Triple H is cooking. But that's the definition of cooking, huh? Holy fucking A. I mean, talk about something that's flatter than a New Day pancake. I mean, for fuck's sake. Like, that's what, again, this may sound harsh, but I don't give a shit. That's what you hyped for a full week for? To just say some words about Seth, the Shield, and The Rock that has nothing to do between the two of you, and you have this stare down. Everything was just flat as hell, and nothing got accomplished. Nothing got accomplished between between Cody and Roman. It was just more to portray this tag match, and you just added Jey Uso into the fray, and that's it. It's just like, come on. And this is what I've been saying, guys, about this freaking tag match. Because The Rock is involved and because The Rock has to heavily promote the shit out of it with the Rock concert and social media, it's overshadowing Roman, it's overshadowing Cody and the beef between those two because you're doing more with The Rock and this tag than you are between Roman and Cody. And this beef, this match, the story, finishing the story is fucking dead. It doesn't fucking matter anymore because it's a different book. This is a different story. And the trajectory and the attention is on The Rock and this tag. And that's just the reality. And that's why I can't get on board with any of this shit and why I haven't really been on board with any of this shit since Cody lost the match at WrestleMania 39 because they haven't done anything. They tried to prolong this to the Rumble. People bitched and moaned and cried because The Rock came back involved and, oh, The Rock is a part of the TKO board and he bullied his way to the board and he's bullying his way to WrestleMania freaking 40. Like, shut the fuck up, man. I've said that many times and shoved and freaking just speaking so heavily about that. It's just like, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. And that's all I can say, really. It's just nothing got accomplished last night. It was just a heavy stare down, an awkward, weird stare down. And that was it. That was it. And that's pretty much it. There was a fan that said something to Roman, by the way. It was like when Roman was in the middle of snapping his fingers, it's like, you really need a group of strangers to acknowledge your bitch ass.
Oh, I missed that.
Did you hear that?
No, I gotta
like,
go back and watch
that. You can hear it in the background. It's
right,
like this fan who's like, I believe was sitting right beside the rampway. I believe it was a female fan. And she was like, you need a group of strangers to acknowledge your bitch ass. Like, and that's Brian, that's been the main discussion about the show was what this fan said, not about the face-to-face.
Oh, I got to go check it out.
People are talking about what this fan said to Roman. That's just the reality. And like, that's what we're talking about. And we're not talking about the cool face-to-face interaction. That tells me everything I fucking need to know. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Brian, your thoughts, man, of this face-to-face between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, a little bit disappointed with that, man. I think, even both of us had said it on last week's podcast. Like, okay, this is supposed to be one-on-one. And, I mean, I guess it kind of was. Nothing really happened. But, again, we said it, now it's got to be about these two. And you're right. It was about the Shield and Rollins and The Rock. And, I just feel like there's somebody new has to come into the bloodline here. And I thought maybe if you had done that here at this SmackDown where it's supposed to be one-on-one, that could have worked. But yeah, just to have the same thing and then nothing happen essentially.
Yeah. And you notice how, like, with Roman, and listen, Roman's great on the microphone. His facial expressions is great.
Yeah. Yep.
But, like, you notice how, like, majority of, like, the interaction with Roman and Cody is just Roman calling Cody an idiot and a fool. Because there's nothing else.
Right.
There's nothing else you can tell because you haven't done anything. Because this story is now changed because you had to call audibles, you had to change stuff because fans wanted to play fantasy book and wanted to cry because they got their feelings fucking hurt and they got their 100%. Panties in a fucking wad. And now we're in this fucking situation to where none of the attention, none of the main attraction is with the main event, which is for night 2. It's about Rock and it's about this fucking tag. And all Roman Reigns can do is just call Cody a fucking idiot because you freaking trust Seth. You freaking you came alone to SmackDown, which you clearly know that you can't freaking, you're an idiot for trusting me or whatever. Like, that's all they got. And it's so evident they have nothing specifically between those two. And that's all that they can produce for Roman, is just to call him an idiot, to call him a fool. And then let's just talk about Seth Rollins and the Shield and the Rock, because all we have is this fucking tag, and that's it. So, but Brian, your final thoughts with this, man.
I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, I do, of course I'm still looking forward to WrestleMania and what happens. And like you said, so, we got two more Raws, 2 more SmackDowns, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens, going forward. But, if it's just going to end in a stare down, or, I'm talking about the Rhodes family, I'm talking about the bloodline, then I don't know, maybe just, and it's hard not to say, like, don't have it on TV, but if it's just going to be the same shtick for the next 2 weeks and nothing really happens, then it's okay. I'll just wait till Mania.
Right? It's just it's a shame, man. Because listen,
I will say, hold on, real quick. I will say,
go ahead.
And we won't get into it, but I just wanted to give a quick little. I don't know. We've talked about the breakup of Judgment Day, and Dom had a little moment in there where I don't know. We've talked about Rhea. Is he maybe going to LDF?
Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just saying, that was just something else I caught in there of, another guy that's in a bigger storyline, or one of the bigger ones that, we all see the Judgment Day breaking up, and maybe this is where Dom's going. We'll see.
My face says it all. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I got no complaints about the match. The match was fine. I'm not going to nitpick.
No. It was really just his interference there.
The interference is just odd because, well, one, he's a Raw superstar. Now, I guess that's maybe why he's in a luchador mask, because he's trying to hide his face and stuff.
Right.
I guess, but and so what? So we're gonna do more shtick between Ray and Dominic when
I know.
I don't get it, bro. It's just like, okay, he interfered, he wore a luchador mask, and he cost Ray the match. Like, I don't freaking get it, man. I don't understand it. But but look, the show overall better than most. That's probably what I'll say. It was better than most, and you can thank the ladies, and you can thank AJ Styles and LA Knight. Outside of that, this show was a fucking mess. And I'm talking and listen, the match between, again, Santos and Ray was fine. Just the interference with Dominic was just fucking weird. We're doing more qualifying matches just to fill up the show. You did nothing with Orton and freaking Kevin Owens. I called that shit, by the way, from the jump. I'm like, Pretty Deadly, like, they showed up to this to Nick Aldis's office while Kevin Owens was there. I'm like, this is going to set up a tag. And then Orton came in. I'm like, dude, I fucking knew it. I'm like, it's like we see this shit coming from a mile away. It's just like, it's not creative. It's not outside of the box. It's fucking lazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, listen, if Logan Paul's not there, that's fine. But, like, do some cool creative shit with KO and Orton if they're going to be competing for a fucking title at Mania. They're just playing the freaking buddy freaking
Can we
game
coexist?
Can we coexist bullshit? Like, what the fuck? And what is it doing for Pretty Deadly? They're just there to take a fucking L? Come on, man.
Yep.
This is what we're doing for Orton for WrestleMania, right? Where we're so hyped for Orton to come back and everything. He He's had his moments with Orton, with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, and now this is the fucking shit he's doing. It's just like, come
Let me ask
on,
you
man.
something, just for shits and giggles, man. We don't know how much longer Orton's got, but you think he's going to get another title reign before it's all over?
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe against Cody Rhodes in the future, whenever Cody Rhodes maybe wins this championship. I still feel like that storyline needs to happen, maybe with or without the title.
With the history, that storyline definitely needs to happen.
I mean, again, I don't even need the title for that to happen. I mean, that's just the icing on the cake. But because you can say either or, like, yeah, it would be cool to see, and Orton still has enough, juice left in him to have one big title reign, one really good. And I'm not talking for like 2 to 3 months. I'm talking like maybe 4 or 5-ish months or so.
Yeah, right.
But you can also say, like, he doesn't really need another title on his accolade to finish out his career and do what he's doing. Because you can use that to elevate the stars that you have now. Again, people like Cody, finally, whenever he fucking wins this title. I still don't think he's winning this title at WrestleMania. I truly don't.
I don't either.
There, especially if you're trying to prolong Rock and Roman, like, there's no way that you would have Cody win the championship and, okay, now we're going to do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. It's like, okay, they're going to be off TV for probably for a while after Mania. At least whenever Rock comes back, maybe Rock will come back if he's doing more stuff with WWE, possibly for SummerSlam. It's just like, okay, then what's the plan after that? Since you've already done the turn. So that's interesting. But for Orton, it's a mixed bag for me, because I would love to see it, but at the same time, I don't think it's really necessary.
You need it. Yeah, I would just love to see it too. Yeah.
I know there's talks about maybe like doing Orton and Cena again in the future, maybe for like Orton or Cena's last, because I know Cena's been talking about retirement in the future by the time maybe he turns 50 or something like that, and like his last maybe match would be against freaking Orton. But yeah, man, it's just with Orton.
You talk a lot about that feud. Was that the feud that you got into in wrestling? Was it Orton and Cena?
Yeah, I mean, when I got into it, man, that was like, those were the two guys, like, was Orton and Cena at the time. You had your heel, which was Orton, and you had and the baby face, which was John Cena. So those were the two mega stars at the time. But the other feuds, like what was it? Undertaker, Randy Orton at the time. John Cena and Edge as well. Again, even like Batista and the Undertaker, things like that and everything. So yeah, those like little feuds in the Ruthless Aggression. Hell, even like Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. I still like, dude, that match at WrestleMania 25, the best match I've ever seen in my life. I will legit put that up against any other match, like freaking in whatever time frame, of like one of the greatest, if not the best wrestling
it's
matches
definitely
of all
up
time.
there. Yep.
It was absolutely tremendous. So
I just watched the WWE Rivals, and it was Cena and Orton.
Yeah,
and like I said, I didn't watch that consistently, but going back and just watching that feud, that was good.
It was good. It was good, man. It's definitely like, when you think of Orton and you think of John Cena, you think of the rivalries that you had with those two. So definitely they put a lot of memorable matches, at the time, of course, with like interactions. They've had, I remember the triple threat match at WrestleMania 24 with Orton, Cena, and Triple H at the time, when Cena came back from his torn pec or whatever. So yeah, no.
What did he come back from? I mean, shout out to Cena. What was he out? 2-3 months?
I think it was like 3 to 4 months. Yeah, it was very short.
I was going to say, it was very short. And shout out to you, bro. Goddamn.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And listen, I know Cena gets a bad rap too, especially. And it's like, well, you're starting to see a lot of more respect and an admiration for Cena, because he's no longer a part of the company much anymore. It's because of course, when he was there, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm sick of Cena, go away. But now that he's away, and now you see what most wrestlers have to offer now in the company, it's just like, oh, snap. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing John Cena right now. So
yeah. That's my whole thing with Cena. Like, it was just the PG era for me that, he was handicapped in there. He couldn't do whatever. Maybe he didn't want to, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the outside the ring stuff, like the Make-A-Wish and all that shit, man. Oh, dude, I've always been a fan. I mean,
yeah.
As far as doing that outside the company to promote wrestling and whatever, he may be the best ever at that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. The main feud I remember with Cena was the TLC match with Edge. That was during that whole rivalry with Edge when, you know, the home invasion, like we talked about with the home invasion, when he tossed Edge in the Long Island Sound. Like that's, again, that was one of the feuds that really got me into wrestling. That's why I hold Edge to such a high degree.
Slaps the shit out of
Cena's father, right? Freaking even when Orton, like going back to Orton and Cena, when freaking Orton punts Cena's father in the head, freaking took him over the barricade and punted the shit out. That was when Orton was at his fucking peak. The bald-headed Randy Orton, that freaking legend, the legend killer, or the Apex. What was he known?
He might have been the Apex. I don't know.
He was the legend killer. Yeah, no,
he was the legend killer first, right?
And that was the whole legacy shtick, like the legacy shtick in like the early, like I want to say, like like late 2000s to like the 2010s in a way. But yeah, like that legacy gimmick when he was like the bald head and everything with legacy with Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes. Like that was when he punted freaking Vince in the head and everything. That was Orton freaking at its peak, man. And you still see, and you saw flashes of Orton that for years and years and years. Like little snippets.
He's a natural, man. That dude's
such
a
natural man. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of natural, like Dustin Rhodes too, man. I speak so highly about Dustin Rhodes too, and how he like I compare those two, like when it comes to like just making things so effortless in the ring, like not just like the wrestling skills, but just everything, man. How they make it look so easy, like the scoop slam and like. Those two have the best scoop slams in the game, Dustin Rhodes and freaking Randy Orton. Like they make things so
well. The scoop slam or like the snap slam, where he, you know, which one are you talking about?
I think probably the snap slam, probably.
The
snap slam, the scoops. I think that they're referred to, I think, as like kind of the same thing for most people, but it's pretty much two different things. But it's a snap slam, pretty much. But yeah, so I know we're going completely off the rails here, but freaking hey,
right on.
When we have live microphones and we're talking pro wrestling, we're gonna go off the rails. Hopefully, you guys listening, you're enjoying this little extra. I guess you could call it like a little bit of
man.
What do you call it? Like I guess extra sneak. I don't know what you call it, but anyway,
I don't know.
But man. But thank you guys again so much for tuning in to another edition of Ruthless Talk. This was our SmackDown review. Of course, we had some words about Goldberg as well as Ronda Rousey. But yeah, next week we have our WrestleMania roundtable. We're going to be talking all about WrestleMania, the match card, the build, maybe some predictions and everything. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. That's going to be a big event for this platform. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, you see the banner down below. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. We are less than 20 followers away from 1,500 followers on TikTok. Thank you guys again for so much for hitting that follow button, and make sure and get us to 1,500, man. Get us to that 1,500 mark on TikTok. That would be much appreciated. Spread the word, share it with your friends and all of that stuff. And again, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, thank you guys so much for tuning in to every single episode, and make sure that you stay tuned for more wrestling chaos to come. Brian, your final thoughts before we end this show, my man.
Just really, I mean, dude, 2 weeks away from Mania. It's really, I'm so anticipating it. As many questions that we have, I think it's still going to be a great weekend of wrestling and whatever comes out of it. So just really anticipating that, and suck it, Goldberg.
Oh man, freaking yeah, Goldberg. I'm sure like his freaking notifications, his DMs is probably freaking.
That's what I was going to say, man. He might as well just lay low for a bit. And, like,
yeah,
really,
dude. Like go
you ain't crawling out of this one, dude.
Go sit under a palm tree somewhere. Like go freaking sit by the pool. Get off of your phone. Just try to let this die down as much as you can as well. Right. So, but once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off, saying salute.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody.
Yeet!